Welcome to Visionaries Global Media, your number one source for podcasting entertainment. Visionaries Global Media, envisioning excellence on a global scale.
This is Banned from Ringside.
Tonight on the Banned from Ringside podcast, RIP ROH. Charlotte goes into business for herself. NXT 2.0 has a huge night. There's 3 AEW shows that we have to cover since the last time we saw you. That and a whole bunch more tonight on the Banned from Ringside podcast.
The quarterback is back.
Pretty good,
yes,
right?
yes, yes.
Feel good about that one. Ditch that 9 to 5. It's time to feel alive. Hello, Marks, and welcome to the Banned from Ringside podcast. As always, I'm your host, Bill Vagey, a.k.a. Bobby Fish with a PH. Get it? Because I just went and saw Fish. Bobby Fish. Jason didn't like it. And sitting right next to me in stormy St. Charles, Missouri, we have Jason Cornelius Bell. What's going on, JCB?
Allow us to bow our heads as I read from the latest edition of the Banned from Ringside podcast, volume 229, chapter 3, verse 14, and the good smart saying, hashtag who the heels. It is all good, baby. Listen, share, subscribe, repeat, the holy trinity of BFR. I want to talk about ROH, obviously, because like I said on our little pre-show chat, I'm the one guy that watches ROH religiously, so it's probably going to affect me the most. It's an hour out of my life, but I think there's a lot to discuss about that, past, present, and future. NXT, I was honestly surprised. We were talking about Braun Breaker being the face poster child of NXT, and whoops, Black and Gold still back in play. Ciampa retains. We'll talk about that as well.
And out there in Portland, Oregon, we have Two Beers Zach Pullman. What's going on, Two Beers Zach?
Not much. My good friend Alec Baldwin would say you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So toxic attraction. Slide into the DMs, please.
You ain't shit.
Like I said, we're coming at you from stormy St. Charles, Missouri. Zach's out there on the left coast.
Motherfucker said Zach Baldwin. Or Alec Baldwin. That's fucked up. How you gonna make fun of that dude? Okay.
Oh man, it's like obviously just being a total like shithead heel, but that like as far as my empathy levels go, I feel absolutely terrible about that whole situation. So this is like kind of.
I just read right before we started on Twitter that the investigation showed that there were 500 live rounds of ammunition that they found on set. 500 live rounds.
Oh my God.
What the fuck you need all that for? Damn.
I know. So I'm back. And
I think that prop gun was supposed to go to an American school. Actually,
you ain't shit.
That's good shit. That's good shit. Thanks for holding down the fort last week, fellas. Didn't get a chance to listen to it. I'm sorry that I missed the end of the G1 climax discussion, but part of me was so depressed about it and so bummed out watching it. I was just shocked. I mean, it's kind of surprising that shit doesn't happen more often, but it really doesn't. And
that's what we were saying last week. This when it initially happened, I didn't think much of it. Red Shoes went over there like he normally does. They panned out. You hear the crowd clap, and Red Shoes doesn't move. Then next thing you know, the bell's ringing. I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
I just want to say to Gato that nobody breaks their shoulder on a Mist Phoenix splash if you have Cobb versus Sabre Jr. in the finals. I'm kidding. It was such a fucking bummer.
That's fucked up.
It was such a fucking bummer.
It was. It was right where it was getting ready to.
I know. It was 25 minutes into the match. They were getting ready to turn it on, and not everybody's talking. It seems like more people are talking about. Nobody's talking about New Japan than are actually talking about New Japan. But we're going to keep talking about New Japan because New Japan fucking rules. So stay tuned to BFR for your New Japan news. And there's a bunch of stuff to get to this week.
Back the belt.
Also, so let's get to that. 3 counts.
1, 2, 3.
JCB, kick it off.
Bill said RIP ROH. I'm not sure if I'm going to say that just yet, but for the moment, it is going on hiatus in a fairly surprising move yesterday afternoon. ROH, Ring of Honor releases a statement basically saying that they're going to have one final show, their final battle pay-per-view, and then starting in 2022, they're going to take a little break and try to reinvent themselves, if I believe that's what the press statement said. Now, that being said, since I'm the only guy that really watches ROH regularly, it is kind of a bummer.
Today, you're the only one that watches it currently. I mean,
between the three of us.
Yes, but I mean, like, I've watched lots of ROH
Currently,
in my time.
I'm the guy that watches ROH. Okay, I can name the champion, Bandito. Okay, can you name the women's champion? I can.
Roxy.
Okay,
You
I'm
took
impressed.
the easy one.
I'm impressed. I'm impressed. No, I mean, look, I would assume.
Didn't Bandito just go to GCW though?
I'm sorry.
Didn't Bandito just go to GCW?
I'm not sure if Briscoe went. The Briscoes
wrestle.
went. I'm not sure if Bandito went. That I'm not 100% sure. But if that's the case, then that's when Japan, when Impact and AEW closed that quote unquote forbidden door, this is a new forbidden door that is busted wide open. There is so much talent on the ROH side that I'm not even going to say AEW, because AEW, I think, is at the point where you bring somebody else in, we're going to oversaturate the product. WWE as well. I'm talking like Impact, MLW, GCW, NWA. These are the guys that should be immediately swooping in and on the phone, talking to Jay Lethal, talking to Jonathan Gresham, talking to Josh Woods, Roxy. Like I said, there's so much talent. The Briscoes, if they can, if you want to look past their homophobic tweets back in the day, there's a ton of fucking talent on the ROH side. And I have to push back on one thing I saw on Twitter, and I'll pass the mic. There's people that are saying that AEW killed the indie scene and ultimately killed ROH. I'm calling bullshit on that. Sinclair owns Ring of Honor, the Sinclair Broadcasting Company. They have put zero effort into this. No marketing, no promotion, no money. It is just numbers for them, okay? It is not like they are trying to actively make ROH what AEW is now. If they wanted to, when we started the podcast, when Cody was a part of AEW, you had the Bucks, Kenny Omega, all these guys at ROH. That was the time where you had the iron in their hand. It was hot as fuck, and you should have struck that motherfucker, and they took a pass. So at that point, I can't understand, or I refuse to sit here and let people point the finger at Tony Khan and AEW because ROH didn't do their job.
Zach, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, lots to unpack. Sinclair owns it. They're a huge corporation. They were just in it for the cheap programming. It does good ratings. They gave it prime time, but they weren't putting money behind it. They didn't care about competing. At one time, for a long time, they were the number 2 promotion in the United States. And, I mean, the pandemic hurt them. They were very careful with folks. They did treat the people well. They kept them safe. They paid them throughout the pandemic. They're paying them throughout the end of the year. This whole thing is kind of the people that kept their people the most safe are the people that hurt, New Japan and ROH. And it's kind of sad to see. It's the end of an era. I imagine going forward, their talks are going to be that it's just going to be like kind of a glorified indie promotion. And
that's what they were saying, that they're not going to do contracts anymore.
No contracts. Yeah, so it'll be a GCW, it'll be a PWG. I mean, Bandito's PWG champion also. But that's a tough role because you've got, the last PWG tag champions were MSK. They got scooped up by WWE, and then they had to vacate those titles. So, it's tough to have a champion in that kind of situation, on television. You're vulnerable in that situation. But, like Jason said, they could have struck when the iron was hot. They had all the top guys in AEW, wrestling for them. They could have signed them to exclusive contracts. They could have done what Tony Khan did, but they didn't have kind of the entrepreneurial vision for it. They just wanted the cheap programming. They didn't have anybody with a big vision. So a huge bummer for the people that were under contract that are, trying to feed their families. I think the indie scene is going to be bolstered by this because we're going to see a lot of this talent out there. As far as people going to other promotions, there's a couple superstars there. Bandito's top of the list, not just because he is the champion, but because he's the most dynamic. And shit, we watched Bandito wrestle live, you know, a couple hundred people. The guy's phenomenal.
Gresham.
Yeah, Gresham. No worries about, you know, Jonathan Gresham's future at all. You got, you know, Andrade's going to want to bring his family. He's going to want to bring Dragon Lee. He's going to want to bring Roosh into AEW. I know he said previously that he wants all his family under one roof. So, I mean, that's a possibility. I don't see.
Dragon
I think
Lee
Court Bauer
is the shit. That's the
and
one I want to see where he goes.
He's contracted to New Japan, so he'll just be in California. Yeah, he's already under contract. The only reason he's not in Japan is the pandemic. So, but I mean,
New Japan strong.
Court Bauer's going to be looking like Paulie dangerously outside of the ECW ring on his brick phone, just like calling everybody. Because, like you said, he's got a lot to gain here. And I don't know. It is interesting. It is sad. I think the thing that holds the most value for ROH is that tape library. And the biggest worry that I have is that Sinclair will be looking for an out, because I know that they say they're going to re-envision this thing, but at the same time, you know, WWE could offer him some money for that tape library and the whole thing dissolves. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. But I think there's some people that have a bright future, but there's a lot of people that are going to be kind of lost in the shuffle that don't necessarily fit into a television mode with the current like saturation, like you said. So it's interesting.
It's very interesting. Not much more that I can say than what you guys just said. The only reason I said RIP ROH is because it sounds good at the beginning of a show. You know,
no. All bullshit aside, I mean, when they come back,
it won't be the same thing.
It won't be the same thing.
What
it would be. It's going to be interesting to see if they can do like a all independent show where if they're talking about a super card in April 2022, kind of rivaling what they did with the G1 super card a couple years ago in MSG. That will be an interesting litmus test if they can get everybody under one roof and do a super card like that.
I would also like to piggyback off of what Jason said, because, you know, people blamed AEW at the time. People blamed AEW when they first did All In, before it was even called AEW, for using ROH's, you know, equipment and know-how in order to be able to put on a show and things like that. But, and this kind of folds into what I wanted to use my time to talk about ROH, is that when I discovered ROH, I got back into wrestling in like 2009, early 2010, right? And I fell back into it hard. I had been away for 6 years, and I discovered TNA, you know, and then all of a sudden I was talking to somebody, and they were like, you should check out Ring of Honor. And once you checked out Ring of Honor, it's almost like Ring of Honor has more influence on the wrestling that we see and like today than WWE or TNA or even ECW.
Agreed.
ROH,
100%.
if you look at like the Best in the World pay-per-view cards from like 2011, 2012, it's the Bucks, it's Adam Cole, it's you know, even before that it was Bryan Danielson, Kevin Steen, El Generico. It's all these guys that were just putting on
banger matches,
banger in-ring matches, right? And it was work rate.
Right.
And like that is where everything really started shifting.
Agreed.
In terms of what mainstream wrestling looks like. You know, it turned away because it was all these kids that had all grown up on oversized characters of 80s WWF and in the 90s Attitude Era. And then there had been like a decade to breathe. Even, you know, I know there's people out there that were on the ROH train way early, like 2004, 2005.
Yes.
But most smarks were not.
Like, good friend of mine, Lee Hamilton, showed me a couple ROH matches. This was when Bryan Danielson was the American Dragon. He came out to, I can't even think of the song or whatever. And
Final Countdown.
Thank you. And he just basically came out and was so, in my mind, revolutionary because it was such a small guy, and he just dominated anybody you put in front of him with a style you hadn't seen before. At least I hadn't seen before.
But, like, for that to be what mainstream wrestling fans like. And now, I'm not talking about kids, and I'm not talking about, old ladies. I'm talking about, like, hardcore fans like us. Marks. When that became, I liken that to, like, John Lennon wrote Instant Karma in 1969 or 1970, and then in 1990 it's on a Nike commercial. It was so revolutionary to just have these athletic guys, no matter what their size is, to go in and have these 20-minute banger 5-star classics, And
Samoa Joe wouldn't be Samoa Joe without ROH.
And to me, that's ROH's legacy.
Yes.
And
they're the Pixies to AEW's Nirvana.
Yeah,
right?
pretty much. Yeah, that's a great example. It's a bummer that they fell the way they did, but this folds into what Jason said. They had rowdy crowds in 2011, 2012. I was in those crowds, man. They had weight behind it. They had momentum.
They were the ECW when ECW folded.
And if they would have just tapped on the gas a little bit, maybe just give them a primetime show or a syndicated show that showed not at fucking 10 a.m. on a Saturday, or just something, just an advertisement or something. If Sinclair would have put any effort at all, who knows what would have happened. But I tell you what, it's not the Jacksons' fault. It's not Cody's fault. It's not Tony Khan's fault. It's nobody's fault. Sinclair has as much money as Tony Khan. It's nobody's fault except for Sinclair Broadcasting.
Agreed.
And you can't blame, because the Bucks were in that system. You don't think they saw that system? They were like, fuck this. We can do it bigger and better. And guess what they did?
Yep.
And it's also not the talent's fault.
No, talent, dude. How much? Just think about the talent that came from ROH that is currently on the WWE roster.
Cesaro.
It's sick. So Cesaro, AJ,
Tyler Black,
Samoa Joe are not even there anymore.
It's everybody.
Yeah,
it's like their entire fucking roster.
Literally, they, in some form or fashion, ROH was like a feeder, dare I say, a minor league system to where the next step up was going to WWE. Because at the time,
it was the first NXT.
Yeah, at the time, that's when the WWE was the one show in town.
Their best in the world pay-per-views were fucking off the chain. Now, they were like 6 hours, too, which is long as shit. But
let's say, settle in. I mean, at the end of the day...
Carino, Steve Carino was a big guy.
At the end of the day, I'll say this. ROH's legacy shouldn't just be the fact that Sinclair didn't push it. It's all the talent we talked about from the past, the current talent. I'm not sure what's going to happen in the future, but we did say when AEW came into existence, one of these, outlying promotions might pull the El Photo. ROH or Impact were our two main guesses. I would have never guessed ROH would have been the first to vote.
Sorry, it never had a primetime slot.
No.
It never had a chance to succeed.
No, and even with Impact bounces, from channel to channel, from time to time, from day to day.
But people will find it. If it's on Pop TV or, whatever the fuck.
Spike or Access, whatever the fuck it is. I mean, no, I agree with it. It's just a damn shame.
Any final thoughts on this, Two Beer? I said, any final thoughts on this, Two Beer?
I'm going to take that as a
Oh, I was talking under mute. So I think we mostly covered it. We have a lot to get to tonight. I think it will be fun to speculate in the coming weeks if we want to kind of look at the roster and just for fun, kind of speculate on where folks might end up. Like I could see somebody like a Dalton Castle actually in WWE.
No, Impact Wrestling.
I said, any thoughts, Two Beer? No, just kidding. We could hear you there. Let's get to that 2 count.
Speaking in the mic, motherfucker.
2 Beer, what's the 2 count?
2 count. We had 3 AEW shows happen since the last time Jason and I talked. So kind of a lot to unpack there. We won't have to dissect it, overly much. I know Jason said he had the things written down, but I can kind of start with the most recent, and if we want to talk about anything, actually, you know what? I'll go back to Friday night because the one standout for Friday night was the Andrade.
I was saying, we need to be talking about this shit.
Yeah, the Andrade and Pac match, which I had heard was good because why wouldn't it be? I mean, the first one was good, and this one just absolutely exceeded expectations, even though expectations were high.
Yeah.
I think my favorite spot of the entire thing was when there was a lot of apron spots, which was bonkers, but there was one where Pac was kind of draped over the top rope, and Andrade jumped from the inside over the top rope from the outside into the inside, and then he DDT'd him onto the apron. Just absolutely insane. And this was just these guys going all out. And I know that we talked a lot about ratings and stuff last week. We don't have to really get into any of that, but this is kind of like Tony Khan throwing up. I got shit. I got people. I got moves I can make, and this is just what we do on Friday nights. And I think we also kind of see that every Friday night there's some kind of a banger match. It's only a 1 hour show, but it's not as densely packed as Dynamite, but it's a quick hour. It's very fun, and you always have one extremely banger match. So because there was so much other stuff going on, we had a Dynamite on Saturday, and then we had a Dynamite last night. I don't have all that shit in front of me. So if you guys want to throw some shit out, we can talk about it.
Well, let's talk about Andrade.
I want to talk about this first. That's
go ahead, Jason.
No, I like this shit because now the fact that you got Pac obviously evening the score at 1-1, obviously you're going to get a tiebreaker on that. I was saying earlier because the opening match was Orange Cassidy and Powerhouse Hobbs. It was, I believe that was the start of the AEW Eliminator tournament.
Yep.
I was thinking to myself, okay, I like, both guys, but, you got this roster that is so packed. I would like to see Andrade versus Pac being a AEW Eliminator tournament match, but neither here nor there. I thought the match was great. I came in with high expectations. Andrade is one of those guys that has kind of fallen to the wayside a little bit, but the last couple of weeks he's kind of getting back into the limelight again, which is, I think, ultimately is kind of important because Andrade is one of those guys. I think given the right push, he's already got the talent. You got to give him the push. I think the rest of it takes care of itself. I agree with Two Beer on this one. My bar was set pretty high coming on this one, and Andrade and Pac just blew it out of the water.
Oh, this match was incredible. Reminded me of a New Japan match, the way that they, the last 2.5 minutes were about as frenetic with reversal, just an insane, 240 seconds, or that's bad math, 180 seconds. But, I mean, just so much fun to watch. You couldn't take your eyes off of it. I'm usually good for a frenetic 180 seconds, but it ain't fun to watch.
Yeah,
it's like I set them up for that too, man. If I had one little nitpick, it's that right when the 3 count happened, the lights went out, and the win was kind of gone. Pac gets the win, and then it's just immediately lights out, and then it's Malachi Black and Arn Anderson and Cody. That's my only nitpick. Other than that, I think that I'm glad that they're 1-1 because I want to see the third match, and I think a third match uninterrupted by commercial, give them 20, 21, 22 minutes. That's a match of the year contender.
Yeah. These two matches have been really fucking good.
This one was better than the first one. The first one was really good. Orange Cassidy versus Powerhouse Hobbs was also good, or the right guy went over. The final 4 of that Eliminator tournament are two matchups that I really want to see, that I never really...
One I want to see. The other is more storyline related, but it makes sense.
Sure. FTR Death Triangle has segment, and Britt Baker went over Anna Jay. Anna Jay, that's her best showing that I've seen.
Agreed.
She was fighting the big dog, and she made the most of it.
Best seat in the house.
Yeah, you ain't shit.
But
looks strong in the loss.
Conti might have something to say about it. But what is wrong with you guys? We are supposed to be the woke wrestling podcast.
I'm sorry I brought up Tay Conti. I apologize.
We're supposed to be the woke wrestling podcast.
I'm really not.
But if you haven't checked out Andrade Pac
Part 2,
do yourself a favor.
Go check it out. Yeah, for sure.
Keep it going, Zach.
So then we had Saturday Night Dynamite.
I said keep it going, Zach. No, fuck it.
You ain't shit. Both of you motherfuckers ain't shit. How about the straight guy in this trio tonight? This ain't making no damn sense.
I know, right? So we talk about title eliminator tournament. We can kind of continue with that. But we had Bryan Danielson versus who?
Dustin Rhodes.
Dustin Rhodes. Oh my God! Yeah, it opened the show.
The show.
I knew this was going to be good, just because, you think about it in your head. And Cody said it last night.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, bell to bell, Dustin Rhodes. He's just had this amazing career. He's done the most fucked up shit to his body. It kind of gives me hope that when I'm 50, I can reverse all these bullshit that I keep doing to myself. But these guys really just had a very methodical, fantastic, heavy psychology match. Babyface. And I'll be goddamned if I just didn't love it. Probably my second favorite Dustin Rhodes match ever. I mean, the best match he ever had was with Cody, that 5-star match that we all watched at Tenders. That was, just an obscene amount of blood, Double or Nothing. That was just so phenomenal. And I'd say, right after that, just for pure spectacle, it was the Gold Dust Roddy Piper street fight where they ended in an OJ chase.
I totally forget about that. But that Bronco scene, I'm just like, dude, really? We're doing this? Okay. Fuck it. OJ lives in infamy forever.
There's a couple of moments where kayfabe died for me as a child, because even though I subscribed to PWI, it was still a kayfabe oriented magazine.
True story.
And Wow magazine hadn't come out, and I was not privy to Meltzer and the newsletter. Otherwise, I would have subscribed to that. But I was getting PWI. I got 3 different wrestling magazines all the time when I was a kid. There's a couple instances where kayfabe died. That was one of them, because I'm like, well, this is just a fucking OJ thing. And then there was whenever Owen broke Steve Austin's neck, and Steve Austin rolled him up in the shittiest roll up history.
Stop. Come on, man. They just tried to finish the match.
I was like, oh, man. It was like I saw my mom blowing Santa Claus. And I was like, oh, shit, this ain't real.
Jesus.
It's funny you mention that, because maybe the second worst roll up in history happened on this episode of Dynamite, but we'll get to that in a second. I'll go next. Bryan Danielson with Dustin Rhodes. I almost liked it as much as Andrade Pac, and I am surprised to hear myself say that. But when you think about when Goldust and Stardust were holding down Raw, it was Stardust and Goldust, and they were fighting the Shield every night.
Yes.
And it was 2 months straight of those guys. I don't think we were doing the podcast yet, but you were kind of like, man, Dustin Rhodes, Goldust can just fucking go.
They should have been a tag team from the jump.
I mean, he's definitely way thinner than he was at the height of the Attitude Era. He looks like he's in tremendous shape. And you know how him and Cody both do that snap, the snap power slam. When Bryan Danielson came running at him, and
he snatched it up like it wasn't shit.
I mean, he looked 30 years old when he did it, and that has a lot to do with Danielson too. But talk about two guys that are just in-ring technicians that know the psychology of a match, that know how to tell a story. Babyface versus babyface. The crowd was on fire. And
Dustin Rhodes has been wrestling my entire life.
Yeah, that's true. And
my entire life.
the way that I was watching it is I finished Rampage, so I got done with Andrade Pac, and I was giving the baby a bottle, and I was like, okay, and it just rolled right into Dynamite. And it felt like a pay-per-view, man. And it was 2 shows that I got on cable that were on my DVR for free, basically, except for the cable that I paid for too fucking much every fucking month.
Don't get me started.
But still, it's not a pay-per-view, and those were 2 pay-per-view worthy matches. They really were.
Agreed.
In terms of the in-ring quality, so I can't say enough.
And they
about
did a good job. They did a good job on commentary, which AEW has done a great job throughout this thing. Of, you look at the card and you're like, oh well, like as a smart, you're like, oh well, Danielson's like obviously going over. Well, like they do a great job where JR's talking about Dustin Rhodes is probably the best current performer that's never held a singles world champion, and he is hungry and he looks better than he ever has in your entire life. And I'm like, holy shit! I'm like, they might just put him over. You know what I mean?
I'm telling you, man, AEW was clicking.
No, all bullshit aside, it's not anything that we haven't seen before, but just these last 3 shows have had 2 really good matches, whether it's male or female, where it just really has stood out. This was one of those matches. I'm not going to give any more flowers to this match than that's already been given. Dustin Rhodes is amazingly gifted. I'm very surprised that he's lasted this long, considering what he's gone through in the past to get to this point. Anything that happens from this point, I would like to see. If it's a TNT title run, I'm okay with that. He's not going to be world champion. Let's just get that off the table. If it's a TNT title run, I'm good for that. Anything, a mid-card title or a mid-card run, one last Dustin Rhodes run I'm looking for before he rides off into the sunset. He might be Tom Brady. It might not be anytime soon. 2-3 more years, easily.
I mean, how much younger is he than Sting?
I think
I'd say 10 years, maybe 8 years, maybe.
Sting's almost in his 60s.
No, Sting's in his 60s.
No,
Sting
he's
is
like
in his 60s.
62,
You're right.
63. So Dustin's in his mid-50s. So I'd say 7-8 years.
Okay.
And I mean, they're contemporaries.
Right.
And I mean, Dustin's almost like synonymous with a mid-card title. Like when you think about best intercontinental champions, like he's on that list. So he's like synonymous with that belt and the United States belt, WCW, NWA TV title. He's always been that guy that could hold down a secondary belt or a TV belt and put on a banger match.
Almost exactly 10 years younger, so 62 and 52.
Dustin's got 2 or 3 more solid years left if he wants to do it.
Dustin hasn't taken as many years off as Sting. I'm just saying. I'm not talking shit. I'm saying
you ain't talking shit.
I'm saying Dustin's. I'm not.
That wasn't talking shit.
I'm not making a comparison that who's better, who's worse. I'm saying Dustin might have a little bit more wear and tear on him and might break down. Like it might be like it is with quarterbacks sometimes. Stop looking at me like that. I'm really not talking shit. Like he might just break down, and when he's done, he's just going to be done. That's what I'm saying.
You realize these guys wrestle like 2 totally different like schedules. I mean, like Dustin actually wrestles.
Fights banger matches against Bryan Danielson, and Sting uses his cane as a baseball bat, or uses his baseball bat as a cane. See, I wasn't trying to talk shit about Sting. I don't know why you did. Well, you drugged me into that, man. I wasn't trying to do it.
It's fun to actually drag him into something that he usually gets me in.
What did you think about that Omega promo afterwards on Hangman Page, dude?
Jesus
Christ. I watched it 3 times.
Woo! He wasn't lying though.
I don't know if it's promo of the year contender because it was backstage.
But no, it's still a promo.
Motherfuckers, that was a funny promo.
And Omega hit it on the head. All the bullet points were there. We were tag team partners. We were part of the elite. You weren't necessarily there to, pick up the slack. I'm kind of surprised they didn't bring up the drinking, but neither here nor there.
He did.
He did do that.
He did bring up the drinking.
All like I said, all bullet points hit. The fear of failure is the one that I really take away from it, because that should be the walking point from this point all the way to Full Gear. You're the number one guy, but can you do it? You know, can you meet this pressure? Full Gear is really crazy from this year to last year to this year is because a lot of these storylines have started a year ago, and now they're being completed a year later.
I think my favorite line is Halloween's right around the corner, but after being in the tag team with Paige for a year, every day felt like Halloween because he was always cosplaying as a cowboy.
Dude,
that's good shit. That's good shit.
I was like, okay, everybody's fucking with Kenny, but nobody's going to remember this one.
I'm telling you, man, Andrade Pack and the Danielson into Dustin into that promo,
it felt like a pay-per-view. If you were watching it literally,
I was marking out
in a block. That felt like a pay-per-view.
Giving my daughter a bottle, just completely marking out.
Kenny Omega.
What do you think about Kenny Omega? What do you think about it, Zach?
Oh yeah, totally ruled, and you get that nice, funny little interplay of the coward shit.
Yeah.
And
whose line is it?
You get, yeah.
No, that's you. That's perfect. That's what I want to see from the Elite. Be the heels that are irritating enough to the fan base that you want to see them lose, but they're great enough in the ring where you don't know if they're going to lose. These guys are just that promo hit the mark, and it felt like this is where they're starting to hit their groove as the Elite.
Yeah, we have to kind of pause. We have to kind of pause every now and then, and it's so great that we have this history of the podcast, and I've gotten sentimental about it before, like talking to you guys, where we can kind of go back, in 20 years and kind of look back on like our friendship and our like time spent together, like doing this, but also at the same time, like we're in a very kind of special era of wrestling, and who knows where wrestling will be in 20 years. Who knows? We might all die from climate change. Hopefully, we can access these in 20 years. But
no, our kids will. Our kids will, not us. Not us.
Y'all's kids.
We'll die from alcoholism and lung cancer.
Yeah,
y'all kids will.
We have to kind of pause and appreciate it, like every now and then, because what we're seeing is like truly special, and it's so cool because these kind of hard times promos and stuff like that. Like we're getting this shit every single week in these amazing matches, and it's just something to behold.
Every single week.
True story.
And then next up we had FTR, and they cut a promo on the Lucha Brothers. Looks like we're going to get that match at Full Gear. That's exciting. That we can talk about that some other time because there was no in-ring stuff to talk about. Jesus fucking Christ.
I said, excuse me, damn.
So I'm gonna get my Sting. I'm gonna get my Sting MJF parts mixed up because I watched them both today. But on the first one, that was where MJF came out and beat a jobber, right?
No, that was last night.
Okay, so the other one was where
Sting came out and
went hard on Lex Luger.
Yeah, that was the Lex Luger promo.
Oh, yeah.
And then Wardlow got thrown under the bus.
He's such a fucking shock jock, isn't he? MJF is like fucking Howard Stern circa 1991 or some shit.
But here's the problem with that. They booed. Not even booed. They oohed. It was like, ooh. I was like, oh, damn. Oh, we went there.
Yeah. I mean, I have no problem with it. It's just.
I'm sorry. That's the shit I like.
It's just cheap heat. It's cheap heat.
What you want to? I like MJF.
I love MJF.
I love to hear the one-liners. That's what I sit back and wait for in a promo.
There is not a single MJF promo that I have ever fast-forwarded through, even when I have no time to watch the shit.
Oh, no.
If
MJF's going to be something
TV,
good.
If MJF's on TV cutting a promo, I'm watching it. If he's in the match, maybe not so much.
Okay, so you ain't shit.
I'm just being honest. What you think, Zach?
I think he's better in the ring than you give him credit for.
Agreed.
But as far as like this goes, yeah, I mean, totally cheap heat. But, like total edgelord shit. Like, I'm guilty of it every week. Like, I'm not as good at it as MJF, but like, it's just like,
who is?
Kind of yeah, exactly. Who is? Like,
I'd actually say you're better at it. Like, MJF cut. It's a broad brush. You know, fucking Zach's hitting you with that fucking pinpoint fucking joke, man. Fuck that. No, you're better than MJF. Don't do that. That's why I was telling Blood Girl on fucking Twitter. I was like, I'm not the champion. I'm these guys' managers. These two thoroughbreds, I'll take them. Take them to the top.
The Dan Lambert.
No, okay. All right. Okay. So just quick sidebar for 30 seconds. If anybody is the Dan Lambert of this group, BFR, it's that guy on the left coast. He says more ignorant ass shit than anybody that I know. I love it.
That's another must-see promo is Dan Lambert. So we got this MJF Sting thing cooking. So Saturday night was the one where they showed Darby Allin drop kick the dude on stage. That was Wednesday night too?
Yes.
Shit.
No, that was last night. Yeah.
Sorry. Okay. Anyway.
He was off the show. Like, they kind of kept him off the show.
Saturday night he was totally off the show.
Oh, and then Wednesday night he cut that killer promo where he said AEW full gear.
Yep.
That was pretty weak. I as a Darby Allin fan, I will totally say, like, it was pretty much just bottom of the barrel.
No,
like it was pointing at the WrestleMania.
Okay, there you go. Perfect. That's a great example.
Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. Next we have Penelope Ford versus Ruby Soho in the beginning of the women's tournament. Ruby Soho goes over, obviously.
This match wasn't that good. It was fine, but it wasn't like that good. And Penelope Ford's a great athlete. Ruby Soho's a great character and a solid worker. I think they could do better. That's all I'm saying.
No, I would agree with that. I think and I'm not going to point fingers of, who did bad, who didn't do whatever the case may be. I'll just say this. Penelope Ford is green, and I think that's kind of a problem with putting her with somebody like Ruby Soho. If you wanted to do that, maybe Serena D might be somebody that you can put her with, somebody that can lead her down that the road to the start from the finish to the match. I didn't think it was that bad. I didn't think it was that good. It was probably somewhere in the gray.
So next up, we had Bobby Fish versus Anthony Green in the squash. Bobby Fish starts beating the shit out of Anthony Green to get CM Punk to come out. CM Punk comes out, makes the save, sets up the match for Wednesday night. Thoughts on this, Jason?
No problem with it. Anthony Green was from Evolve, went to WWE. I can't remember what his name was in WWE. And then obviously he was one of the guys that got released in 2021.
Antoine Breaker Schmidt.
That would probably be something that WWE would name this motherfucker. It was okay, but ultimately it boils down to setting up the CM Punk Bobby Fish match, where Bobby Fish felt like he was a babyface for a little bit, and then all of a sudden you see him beating down Anthony Green. I'm like, okay, who's going to come out? Punk comes out. I'm like, okay, I'm with this. This is two, ROH guys that are getting ready to get it on Wednesday night. I'm all for it.
Zach, go ahead.
Yeah, and segueing into that match that they had, we can just kind of piggyback on it and kind of go back and forth. But
that makes sense.
Really solid match that CM Punk and Bobby Fish had. Two old school ROH guys, going at it. And, kind of story of the match was Bobby Fish kicked out at like 3.1, like
that and the knee where Bobby Fish was working on the legs, the knees.
Okay, so let's
all those dragon screws.
Yeah, so let's go ahead. We can talk about Punk and Fish now. Punk looked at the referee like the referee fucked up, didn't he?
He did. I didn't like the way Punk played it, if that's the story, because I like the story of Fish just kicking out late because Punk took too long because his knee was banged up.
And it's not that's a thing that's not used enough. Like that's a cool thing. Yeah.
It made Bobby Fish look like he was still in the match even though he got pinned, if that makes sense. Now,
but Bobby Fish shouldn't be kicking out of the GTS.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Now,
so it was perfect. But the reaction of Punk kind of spoiled it a little bit.
that goes to your no finishers get kicked out. I can't necessarily disagree with that.
Bobby Fish should not be kicking out of a GTS on a random Dynamite.
No, the GTS is Punk's move. If anybody's kicking it out of the GTS, it shouldn't be Bobby Fish. Okay, so that's just my 2 cents on it. For me, when I saw it at the moment, I agree with Two Beer. I thought it was cool just because it felt like Bobby Fish still had something left, so he's kicking out. And at that point, the match is over. They did do a zoom in on Punk's face where I kind of agree with Bill. It didn't look like that might have been the way this match was supposed to finish. Neither here nor there. The right guy went over. It wasn't a major botch. If it was a botch, it was a botch that none of us knew. They knew it. That's not necessarily the end of the world to me.
No, it's not the end of the world. Okay, so back to Saturday night, and Zach, you can stop me if I'm stepping on anything that you want to say. But going back to Saturday night.
Step on me, Daddy.
What the
Eddie Kingston versus Lance Archer is a match that I really want to see.
Yeah.
And it lived up to it.
Kingston came out and jumped him off the bat. I was like, okay, this is what I'm talking about. Let's get it on.
And I was thinking this today when Kingston came out and jumps the Murder Hawk, Lance Archer, while he's coming down, and the crowd just goes fucking berserk. And it's like, man, Kingston's just got the instinct. And, we've talked about his improbability to be where he is today in AEW and how he's kind of an underdog and he's a lifelong indie guy.
You said it a couple of times in the promos after this, but go ahead.
The crowd was eating out of the palm of his hand, man. That place was chanting Eddie, Eddie, Eddie. Everybody fucking loved it. Everybody loves him, and he's an easy guy to root for. He's an easy guy to root for if you follow him on Twitter too, man. He seems like a guy that is he's
to the earth.
He's on, and he's also on the right side.
Right.
Like he's like Black Lives Matter Eddie Kingston.
Right.
He talks about doing right by the business. He talks about, treating people with respect. Like he's a new
seems like a cool ass dude.
He's a new school guy, like in an old school suit. You know what I mean? For lack of a better...
He has an old soul is what some people would say.
That's a bad phrase, but you knew what I meant.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a time where he, tweeted DMX lyrics. People, Twitter got on him because, he's not black, right? So, they got on him, and he, was like, okay. He's like, I understand, and he, put his position out there. He's like, I grew up on this. He's like, like you said, he's on the right side. He's like, I feel... all of these things. He's like, if that offended you, I'm sorry, I had to delete the tweet. You know what I mean? He's not out there standing his ground and being a douchebag or anything.
He's like me. He's not afraid to admit when he's wrong.
I'm glad that's one of us. I want to jump to the match itself, and let's just jump to the obvious point where we have the second worst roll up in wrestling history. I'll say this. I like Lance Archer, and I thought him coming to AEW was an amazing pickup, and I'm hoping for things to kind of pick up for him as time goes along. I'm not sure if I want him to do any more moonsaults at this point anymore. Can he do it? Yeah, but I mean, he's at this point where he's. Go ahead.
You said, can he do it?
Yeah,
and then you said, yeah. I would say no. Because he almost killed himself doing it.
Okay,
he's lucky he's got a fucking ponytail on the top of his head.
He bounced
saved his life,
dude. He bounced the shit off his motherfucking head, and I saw it. And I was just like, Jesus fucking Christ! This is right around Ibushi, dislocating his shoulder on something we see all the time. This is something we rarely see. He spiked his head on that moonsault where I was like, okay, everything needs to stop for a little bit. Okay? If you want to call this match, I have no problem with
they should have
called that match. He should have never
he should have
never been able to roll.
Just call it at that point.
Yeah.
The finish is the same.
Yeah, and I'm not sure that ultimately, I guess that's my point. I'm not sure who was supposed to go over, but once that happened, Eddie Kingston goes over. That's the end of this match, and you start to figure out what's wrong with Lance Archer.
Well, I mean, I think that Eddie Kingston was probably supposed to go over, right? Don't you think it was supposed to be Bryan versus Kingston? What do you think, Zach? Am I wrong? Do you think it was?
I think so, and I think
guess
it was
that's
the
the
perfect
Lance Archer
opportunity
mark.
to just call the match. You know,
That's the Lance Archer mark in me because I want to see him do well. I probably tend to agree with you. I would like to see it, completed to his finish. Obviously, that didn't happen, but I do like the Bryan Danielson, Eddie Kingston promos back to back, where now Eddie Kingston is just getting back to the point where he's like, you know what? I'm done fucking with you. I'm not talking about this match no more. He's ready to fight, and that's what Bryan Danielson wants. Oh, sign me up.
Yeah, that was on Wednesday night, and that was a really good
this match
segment.
is gonna rule, and I just love that. I think Bryan kind of touched a nerve because he said that Eddie didn't put in the work, and he's talking about his body because Bryan looks like he's 20 years old, and Eddie's just not a body guy, but obviously he cares about the business, and he touched a nerve, and it's kind of cool. And, I love his response where he's like, I take a Zoloft every day so I don't kill somebody in the locker room.
Okay.
And every single person back there has mental health issues, which, the wrestling population, as far as workers go, seems to have a higher concentration of, mental health issues than the general population. So I thought it was really cool. I thought it was good business. And I love that Bryan retorted with just that's the Eddie Kingston I want, and we're gonna have a violent babyface match.
Let's do it,
man. I'm really looking forward to that match.
That's what. That's ultimately all it took, and it's to where now I'm like, fucking right. I want to see this.
This is what I'm saying. I don't want to belabor the point, but I'm going to belabor the point. This is what I'm saying when I say that fucking AEW is clicking on all cylinders, man. This is a hot fucking promotion,
and they're not really doing great. I wouldn't say they're doing. I'll take that back.
They're doing normal wrestling stuff,
right? And it's like,
promos before matches to talk about how each guy wants to win the match.
Holy shit!
I know. Who'd have thunk it?
We're talking about winning matches. Unreal.
Yeah.
And it's
characters that get over,
and it's guys that you usually don't see in these scenarios. I just looked at Miro. That's a guy that we're going to talk about in a little bit. Bobby Fish all of a sudden is starting to come out in his little shell as a singles guy. Eddie Kingston is now must-see TV at this point.
Tony Nese, they showed a lot of Tony Nese the other night.
Obviously signed with AEW. So, this is where, and I'll say this and we can move on. I don't mind the Tony Nese signing. Big name signings like Bray's, the Jonathan Greshams, Jay Lethals, they need to stay away from that. The top end is set. We need to get the mid-card set to where now you have guys that can, wrestle for the TNT title, and you can kind of move guys up to down.
But they have so many balls
be.
In the air, and they're doing a great job of juggling them all.
It is a shit ton of balls in the air.
And they're doing a great job. Next up, we had Leo Rush and Dante Martin.
Dante Martin
promo. It kind of got ruined Wednesday night, right? Because they said that it
was going to be a tag team match
against the Sydal brothers, and the one Sydal brother can't.
He got injured. I'm not sure if it's kayfabe or not, but he's injured.
Zach, what do you think about Leo Rush so far in his teaming up with Dante Martin?
I think it's actually a really positive scenario. I'm not super keen on Leo Rush's character as far as the whole kayfabe. Tony Khan took him under his wing to do some insider trading kind of situation. But if all Dante Martin needs is ring time and promo work, and if you got a guy that can speak like Leo Rush and a veteran that is so dynamic, and Leo Rush is one of the most explosive, fast performers in the ring that I've ever seen. He's very, very good at what he does. He's a little flaky as far as contract status and things like that. But I'm not faulting him for that. I mean, like,
yeah,
he's had some rough patches, and he's got a family, and he's looking out for.
That's what I was getting
back.
ready to go with, and God forbid me talking about anybody being flaky. And I don't have a family, but if you're leaving the business to tend to family business, I don't have a problem with that. That's just me.
He just seems to be indecisive. But if he's deciding to be in on this, I think it's a perfect pairing because Dante and his brother, which unfortunately I can't remember his name because he got injured super early.
Dude, I was sitting like, what's his fucking brother's name?
I mean, when you think about it, like, dude, like the Young Bucks signed Top Flight because Top Flight DM'd Matt and was like, hey, like, check us out. And they checked him out and they're like, we're all in on you guys. Like, you're the future. And like, that's the kind of shit that WWE is missing the boat on. And they think that they're doing it now with NXT 2.0. But it just ain't the same. They don't have their finger on the pulse. Like, yeah, they have these parameters of you can't be older than 27, but you also can't be shorter than, 5'10". You also can't be less than 200 pounds. They're missing the boat, whereas AEW is like, they have the future in mind, and it doesn't matter. Like, yeah, it's an aesthetic business, but these guys are dynamic and they get the people going. Like, Dante Martin is a star in every single match that he's in, and all you got to do is just give him experience, and he is just gonna be that guy. And I think his brother is that guy too. We just haven't unfortunately got a chance to see him.
I don't know about that. I'll just say this: 2 parts. Dante Martin, I agree with you. All the superlatives, all the flowers to Dante Martin. I think this is one of those times where Leo Rush is doing Dante Martin a little service to where he talks, you just wrestle. You just need to figure out at some point Dante Martin is going to have a mic in front of him, whether it's in Top Flight or just by himself. He needs to figure out that part. If he can figure that part out, the rest is going to be really easy. Stay healthy, work on your craft in ring. He has all the tools. That's not even a problem. I'll say this for NXT. Now, NXT is a totally different animal as far as I'm concerned. NXT, for me, is like developmental in the sense that you see the main roster like influences, silly roll-ups, bad booking, whatever the case may be. We'll talk about Halloween Havoc in a second. I'll just say this. I like the fact that you have AEW with more of a cohesive, I guess, feeder system, whatever you want to call it, whether it's AEW Dark or Elevation. That system makes more sense because ultimately you can see these guys, Dante Martin challenging Malachi Black. Okay, you know how this is going to end, but you can see this happening on Dark or Dark Elevation versus Braun Breaker all of a sudden jumping on SmackDown. You're like, okay, what the fuck is this? So I mean,
I made the gesture to you to keep talking about Dante Martin and Leo Rush.
No, we both talked. Don't put this on me.
And then I was inside. My niece Margot's inside, such a sweetheart. And she started talking to me, so I feel like I was in there for like 5 minutes, and I came out, and you guys were still talking about Dante fucking Martin, huh?
No, we did. No,
he's a dynamic character, and he is the future of the business, and I'll talk about him until I'm hoarse. But also, I love Margot. She looks a lot like Stella, so I love her a lot.
She's a good kid.
No, she was like, "Hi, Jason, how are you?" I'm like, "Whoa."
He's friends with your dad too.
True story. No, I was just, like I said, Dante Martin and Leo Rush, I like that pairing just to get back on AEW for 30 seconds. I'm not necessarily against the Tony Khan, insider trading angle. I don't give a fuck about that. It basically says that Leo Rush has money, so he can be kind of like the Black Matt Hardy, if you will.
Leo Rush is really good.
They got that WWE money.
Men of the Year come out and cut a promo. Sammy Guevara comes out and cuts a promo back against them, setting up a match that ends up being Sammy Guevara versus Ethan Page for the TNT belt.
Let's talk about it
on Wednesday night. We can talk about both these segments at once. Samuel Guevara. Okay, Ethan Page is an incredible heel promo. So great. Dan Lambert also. Scorpio Sky is good in his role. I don't think he's as good on the stick as the other guys are, but he's...
No, that's fair. That's totally fair.
He's got tons of charisma.
He has tons of charisma, and I think he might be a little bit better in ring versus Ethan Page.
I agree with that also. I think they're a really good tag team, actually. I think they complement each other pretty well.
I don't see him enough to even talk about that, but go ahead.
Samuel Guevara, though, has turned into a really good
Is he the new leader
promo.
of the Inner Circle?
Looks to me like he is, but he's a really good babyface promo. Would you agree with that, Zach?
Oh, totally. Into his own. I mean, we all saw it early on. We knew that Sammy Guevara had potential, but he's really come to his own. Like I said, now he's a superstar. He was just a guy that was very fun, and you liked watching him. And you're like, man, this guy would be so much better as a babyface, right? Like, because he has this babyface moveset. And then turns out they turn the Inner Circle two faces, and they also, have him go over an undefeated, dominant powerhouse champion and give him the 6th TNT title run in existence. And I think it's a great move. And he just has it, man. Like, he's one of those 4, and MJF ain't lying. Like,
no,
he's a heel that ain't lying. He's one of the 4.
It doesn't hurt that they took a guy that he liked, and who knows whose decision that was, whether it was Cody's or the Bucks or Tony Khan's or Jericho's himself. They put Sammy Guevara, they decided to put this guy that I had never heard of, and they put him with the most famous guy that AEW had, and it was like, okay, well, let's see what this guy's got. And he got over in every match, like all those stadium stampedes, all that. Yes,
he was always the guy.
What I'm saying is,
both of you guys are still on my side.
It doesn't hurt for a guy like that to be taken under Jericho's wing, and you know that he's got Jericho's ear. You know that Jericho, he probably texts Jericho.
And vice versa. Oh. Jericho's telling him, do this, don't do that.
Yeah, and look at it. Look how calm that guy is. Look how fucking poised he is as a babyface. Look how natural he is reacting to what those guys were saying. That was an A+ segment.
I like the fact that Sammy Guevara is starting to step out from Chris Jericho's shadow, not even a little bit, a lot. And that's a good start. And that's why, and I didn't even think about him being the quote-unquote leader of the Inner Circle until we started to talk about this segment. And it was really about Sammy being the head honcho. And then when he got jumped, the rest of the Inner Circle, Jericho included, came out. I believe that was the Wednesday night.
That was Wednesday.
Okay, and then that's where I was just kind of like, cool to see, it's good to see the Inner Circle back together, blah, blah, blah. But I never really thought about Sammy Guevara being the quote-unquote leader until right now.
And then he goes over Ethan Page. Like you said, Scorpio Sky, Inner Circle come out. They're going to have a 5-on-5 match, which is whatever at Full Gear. It's,
It is what it is.
It is what it is. America's top team is Dan
They're
Lambert's.
They're going to get some extra pay-per-view buys for people that want to see Julio Del Santos and Jorge
there you
Masvidal.
Go. That's ultimately what this is about. It's a I won't say it's a WWE move, but it's a
pro wrestling move.
It's a pro wrestling move where I didn't watch GCW until I heard Matt Cardona came over and bled like a stuck pig. Okay, now I know somebody and I'm gonna watch it. It's the same scenario.
God, Cardona, Mark. So
did you guys see the Jorge Masvidal his Instagram or Twitter promo?
No.
He posted and he's got a lot of followers and they ain't a lot of crossover in that, and he cut a promo in the gym for American Top Team and for against the Inner Circle, calling out Chris Jericho.
No. Yeah, it did come on. I did see that. I was going to say it was like he was in the gym or whatever, and guys were wrestling in the gym. Yeah, I was getting ready to say.
Looked like he had a face tattoo, which he knew. I'd never seen him. But
all right, Tyson.
He's got a lot of he's not like the best fighter in the world, but he I've said this before, he carries himself like a star. And like if you look at most dynamic knockouts like in MMA history, like he's got a couple of them.
The running knee.
He's got these dudes. Yeah,
the running knee is the one that, is if he was a wrestler, that's his finisher, and that comes from the running knee that he put old boy to sleep a year ago, or whatever the case may be. AEW gets a lot of crap, but when they do it right. And this is one of those times where they're doing this right. I don't necessarily have a lot of interest in this, Inner Circle versus America Top Team feud, but they're setting up the box to where if you are interested, this is going to make you really get invested into the shit.
You get like 500 extra people to pay you $50 for this pay-per-view, and then maybe they tell their friends, and then the next one it turns into 1,000 people to pay $50 for their pay-per-view. Like that's pro wrestling, man.
This is like a foundation match for AEW. It's not meant for us. It's not. I'll say us. It's not meant for me. This is for those who are casual that keep hearing, JCB, oh, you need to watch AEW. You need to watch AEW. You need to watch AEW. All right, fuck it. I'll watch AEW, and this is the reason why.
All right, I'm going to keep it moving. Is Moxley a heel?
He will be, but he ain't yet.
Agreed. Exactly what he said.
Okay, so Moxley goes over 10. He starts biting faces. That's not heel stuff?
He's
always done that.
He's always bit faces?
He is a tweener at best.
No.
At some point, he is going full-blown heel.
I think that full-blown heel turn might be when he faces Orange Cassidy in this Eliminator tournament.
That's likely.
It's a pretty good heel gimmick to care about nothing except for your daughter. I mean, he keeps cutting promos about his daughter, and I gotta admit,
hitting home, huh?
That hits home.
Resonates, huh? Yeah,
a little bit. A little bit.
You ready to go back to Edwin Jones on the phone? Like, fuck you, bitch. I want to hear this shit. Okay, you keep talking. I'll just say this: Jon Moxley ultimately is going to go heel over the fact that he's missing chances at the AEW championship and partially the U.S. title on the New Japan side. You see it happening. It's just the Daniel Bryan match, because I'm just going to assume Daniel Bryan
and Moxley
win.
Yeah.
I'm just going to assume that. Now, that's the match to watch where if he goes heel, that's the match he goes heel.
Man, and you're not going to know who's going to win that match at Full Gear, because you're not going to know who's going to win the pay-per-view or not going to know who wins the main event. And even if either one of them wins, you're still not going to know.
Okay, so if you
that's exciting.
If you have the pencil, I'll go with you because this is your promotion more times than not.
Ooh, somebody likes being the quarterback. Okay.
No, I'm just 30 seconds.
I'm fucking around.
If you had the pencil, which match would you do first? Would you do the title match first, or would you do the number one contenders match first?
Oh, you're high. The only match.
I mean, you have Omega versus Page at Full Gear for sure.
Yeah, that's
first.
That's the main event. What?
And then, Omega versus Page at Full Gear, and then I think Danielson on TV to pop a rating during the holidays, whenever it's going to be a rough
Both
go.
are going to be at
you're saying at full gear. Which match would you have be the main event?
No. I'm saying which match do you do first? I'm not saying Omega.
Oh, you mean like
Omega and Page likely is the main event,
right?
Definitely
the main event.
If you had control, would you do Bryan Danielson Moxley as the main event?
No.
Just to keep people on their toes?
No. I would not.
No.
Okay.
But I am looking forward to that match. I'm looking forward to all four of those matches.
Yeah.
Give me every single one of those matches.
They're all different and they're all going to be good.
I'm looking forward to a heel Moxley He's been a babyface for so long.
It's been long enough.
It's going to be hard.
And such a great one. And it's going to be hard going. Like,
well,
he's going to have a tough time.
Him beating the fuck out of Orange Cassidy quickly.
It's going to be a good segue to get him to.
I'll tell you what, if I had the pencil, I would have Orange Cassidy try all that shit on John Moxley, all of his slow shit, that gets the crowd popped, and just have John Moxley not sell it, not even wait around for it, not even entertain it. Just beat the shit out of Orange Cassidy.
Just give him that clothesline he gave Preston Vance, because that was a brutal clothesline.
Yeah, you don't let him
10 earn his paycheck on.
Don't let
night.
Orange Cassidy get his shit.
Even that match, like real quick, just a quick sidebar. We don't have to talk about it, but just a quick note. They even brought history into that match. Again, You're just like, oh, Moxley's going to run over 10. They're like, oh, 10's won 20 matches in a row, and John Moxley broke his arm last year. He's got something to prove. It's like, you don't think he's going over, but like at least there's story behind it. It ain't just some dude thrown in there.
They're not just throwing two guys in the AEW tournament match for no reason. Every match, even if it's a little itty bitty little piece, every match has some sort of history behind it.
Jungle Boy comes out and squashes Cutler, as he should. He grabs the mic, calls out the Elite.
Real quick, can you think of a better geek in wrestling history?
Santino
Brandon
Morella.
Cutler. Like, yeah, but he's like, I don't know. I guess you could put him in there. I wasn't watching. In the thing, everything that I've watched, Brandon Cutler is the penultimate.
No, don't get me wrong. Do not get me wrong. Brandon Cutler is on that top 5, but that's one of the guys that if you wanted to roll somebody out.
Who would have thought that Brandon Cutler could carve out a niche in wrestling history? But he's doing it. You know what I mean? Like, it's Brandon Cutler. He's just like
my favorite part. Sorry,
go ahead.
My favorite part from this segment was when I realized that Jungle Boy, and I tweeted this on the Jumbotron when Jungle Boy's coming down the ramp. There is footage of Jungle Boy spearfishing, like he's actually a Jungle Boy. So no, I guess there's no oceans by the jungle, but they have him spearfishing.
God damn it!
God, I love pro wrestling. Jungle Boy Adam Cole looks like it's shaping up for Full Gear.
Let's get it on.
Let's get it on. That's another match, man. And then we had Cody versus Malachi Black.
This is the one
in the main event. This is the one. What?
Okay, I'll say this, and take it for what it's worth. If you're going to do Malachi Black, just run with Malachi Black. He shouldn't be losing to Cody. You shouldn't have this match, number one. He's beaten Cody twice. That should be the end of the feud. The fact that we're doing it a third time kind of led me to believe what was going to happen. Okay, so now you get RNN, you get everybody else involved, Andrade, the whole shebang. The match itself was good, okay? In-ring shit was good. I hate the fact that you have, not Andrade, but Malachi Black lose a match, his first match, right here, like this. It doesn't
I disagree.
make sense.
I called it last week. I whenever we were talking, I called it last week. I was like, they're building this up for Cody to win, and I think that the way that they handled it was absolutely perfect because Malachi Black tweeted and he said in the promo, he's like, if you thought this is about pinfalls,
okay, that's the Wednesday night. Yeah, that's the Wednesday night promo.
I don't know if that's perfect. I guess I'll pull a Jay Bell here. Well, we'll cut to that. And then we'll talk about the Elite versus the Dark Order as the main event in Halloween, and then we got to move on. I'll pull a Jason Bell here, and I'll say we have to wait to see how it plays out because Cody cutting that promo. So I didn't think that Cody was going to go over Malachi Black at all, and I was surprised when it happened.
Agreed.
Then Cody comes out on Wednesday and cuts a promo and says, I hear you all, even though you think I don't hear you all. I hear you all.
No.
And he goes, I'm not going to turn. So
is
that setting him up for a huge turn? Or is this born out of stubbornness? Because they're bringing Malachi Black they're bringing Andrade and Pac into, for lack of a better term, the Codyverse.
Right.
And that kind of exists on its own in AEW. And I don't know if that's the best use of Andrade and Pac. Maybe it's just buying time until we get to the third, the rubber match, as it were, for those two.
This feels like some Marvel type shit right about now.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah, it does.
You
don't like Marvel.
Maybe Marvel's just wrestling.
No, this is some Marvel type shit.
I think that it was just very. Cody did a great job with his promo because, he cut right to the heart of it, and he's incredibly sincere. Right, that's always Cody's gimmick. Is he's very sincere, unless he's being incredibly over the top and jingoistic. And even then, I think he's being sincere, even if he's a little misguided. But he did a great job of saying, really kind of cutting down all the smarts. And, he got that crowd to cheer him, even though they were booing him. And they cheered him in that promo. And I love that he called out the whole pedigree thing. Cause whenever he went for the Tiger Driver, I was like, he's going to pedigree him. I'm like, oh my fucking God, he's going to pedigree him. And that's some real heel shit, but he didn't do it. And I just think that it is stubbornness. He ain't going heel. He is fully stubborn, and he's the guy that does this community outreach stuff for the company. They hired Amanda Huber in that role, and he's kind of the guy that spearheads that. And he's the John Cena. He is not turning heel. He's the face of this company. Regardless of who's the champion, he's the face of the company. And, Smarks are going to have to live with it. That's just what it is. In my opinion, that's what I see.
Wow. I don't know. I don't even know where to start. I'll just say we'll start with the promo. I love the promo. Even if I don't necessarily agree with it, okay, at some point, you don't, I guess this is the WWE in me. You don't throw, I'm not turning heel out there for no reason, okay? That's, my ears kind of perked up when he said that to begin with, okay? From that point, I'm not necessarily worried about Malachi Black taking the first loss. I'm more worried about him going into this Codyverse that we're going to talk about. I guess that's the next BFR terminology we're going with. Anybody that's in Cody Rhodes' realm is in the Codyverse. Cody doesn't necessarily have a clear path from Malachi Black just yet. Now you're bringing Andrade in. Now it feels like it's kind of like this gumbo of this feud angle, whatever you want to call it, that doesn't have a clear finish. That's my only problem.
It's a cosmic gumbo.
Okay. That's my only problem with this, is that ultimately, where does this end? What's the blow-off match? We should have had this blow-off match already when Malachi Black beat Cody Rhodes twice. But now Andrade's in it, and you're bringing other guys in it.
I think it ends in a Cody Rhodes versus Charlotte Flair with a Ric Flair on a pole match.
See, you ain't shit.
All right, so before we get to Charlotte Flair, because I really want to get to Charlotte Flair, we had the Elite versus the Dark Order in a Halloween Havoc match. Or not a Halloween Havoc match, but they were dressed up like the Ghostbusters. It was a Halloween match. Paige was dressed up as the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. Cutler was dressed up as whatever. Paige ends up.
Dude, I hated this shit.
He ends up getting the best of all of them. I kind of hated.
Did you just say you hated the match? So here's the thing: on TV, yeah, if you want to take everything seriously, it's totally okay to hate it. I feel like Meltzer didn't like it. He was kind of lambasting it. I really enjoyed it because if you're thinking about Boston Halloween week, it doesn't matter much. You got the match out there. The crowd had such a good time. That's all that matters to me. The crowd was so hot whenever Adam Page took that Stay Puft Marshmallow Man head off, and you knew it was him the whole time. And it was super fun. And I just, that's what it is for me.
I'm not
the crowd was happy, and I'm happy.
I'm not going to disagree with you on that. but I have to keep it consistent. If this was WWE, when they do this, because it's coming up.
No,
But the crowd wouldn't be so hot.
Okay,
I'll disagree with what you're about to say. I know what you're like. I'm not even gonna wait for you to say it. I disagree with it. Go ahead.
No, go ahead and tell me what I'm gonna say.
You're gonna tell me if WWE decide to push their main event for the next pay-per-view for the belt using a gimmick Halloween match, that we would be all over it and say that it was sports entertainment.
You give me far too much credit, once again, like everybody does. I was just going to say, if this was WWE and they did this, I don't care who it is.
Yeah, but that's what you would have meant, though.
If this is the 24/7 title, I would have a problem with this. This is not what I
who
personally
has the
want.
24/7 title right now?
It's still Reginald, as far as I'm concerned. He's been off TV for a little bit, but motherfucker, how you going?
Guys could be pinning each other on golf courses right now. You don't know. R-Truth could be pinning somebody in the
ball
ball
pit. When's the last time that you watched Monday Night Raw?
This week.
Unbelievable. That being
Hey,
said,
listen, dude, you asked me, you tried to call me out, say who is ROH's women's champion, and I nailed it. So
come on, man. Give me
down,
something harder.
Sit down for the rest of the pod. Sit the fuck down for the rest of the pod.
Give me something harder than who's the 24/7 champion. I mean, come on.
Shit.
Okay. That being said,
If you're gonna put a gun to my head, I'm dying.
It's probably Reginald.
It's Reginald R-Truth. Pick one of the black guys. I'll just say this. If this was WWE, I would have a problem with this, and I had a problem with it last night. I was literally like, okay, come on. Let's get to the finish. I wanted to fast forward to the finish.
It's 1 week. It was a super fun match. It's 1 week.
I'm not saying that AEW is the pits of the pits. This was not for me. Period.
That's cool. It didn't do it for you. I can understand.
Same
that.
with Yano. Yeah. Same with the 24/7 championship. Same concept.
I'm somewhere in between you guys. I'm probably closer to. Actually, I'm probably right in between you guys. I just don't think this is the best way to push your main event in the next. If it's Omega and Hangman Page, if it's Omega and Hangman Page, and there's supposed to be real bitterness there, and they're really supposed to not like each other, and fucking Omega's talking about his alcoholism and how he's a piece of shit and everything, and then
got 2 weeks to make it up.
I wouldn't mind. I don't mind the Elite being goofy. I just kind of mind Omega being involved with the goofiness, I guess.
As world champion, if you're going on,
he's the world champion.
Piggyback on what you're saying, I agree with where you're going with this. I don't necessarily have a problem with this. It's Halloween. We're going to get it on Thanksgiving. We're going to get it on Christmas. I get it.
The match fucking rule. I mean, the match is always good with those guys. Those guys they're fantastic. There's nothing that you can say bad about it.
Keep the gimmick.
It was very much an independent promotion Halloween match, right?
Agreed.
Yeah. So if you would have seen like back home Journey Pro or Glory Pro or something like that, this is like what you would expect. Yep. I think the reason was my automatic kind of defensive stance on it is all the nerds on Twitter acting like AEW is the worst because they did a gimmick match like 1 week, right? Like, and I know that you're not saying that, like, so I just kind of feel like in a position to where I have to kind of like be reasonable and speak common sense. I know that's not you saying that.
Let me deal with the trolls on Twitter.
It would be easier if we disagreed on more. That's probably true, us three. Like,
no, we disagree a lot.
Yeah, but we don't disagree with, like, there are, like, AEW haters out there. And, Jason, you told me this for a while. I never believed you. And I've probably said this on the podcast before, but I believe you now. It's insane. It is a weird phenomenon.
Motherfuckers didn't even talk about ROH until ROH imploded, and then all of a sudden...
Right.
It's AEW's fault. I mean, come on, man.
It's the same way Republicans didn't care about Afghanistan until Biden decided to leave,
and then all of a sudden,
now they're all experts on it.
I saw a tweet with somebody that said like, the dirt sheets never covered ROH, which by the way, I hate the term dirt sheets, but really the quote-unquote dirt sheets, if that's what you want to call them, that's the only way that you would have really found out about ROH
Exactly.
in the past. Like, it's the dumbest fucking shit. It's people retconning actual history, and
Tribalism at its
problematic.
finest.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, Afghanistan. That was a really bad geopolitical joke. That some people. Let's.
I can't wait to throw acid in Edna May Bebe's face as soon as I see her.
What the fuck?
Let's get to that 3 count.
1, 2, 3.
There is no acid on my niece's face.
All right.
I'll take the bullet.
So, this is
Really? This is what you are like really geared up about?
I thought it was fascinating.
Wow.
So,
okay.
Charlotte and
She
Becky.
loves the reality. I get it. I'm itching. Right?
It was a shoot.
You think so?
Oh, okay. So for those that didn't see it, Charlotte has the SmackDown belt, or no, Charlotte has the Raw belt. Becky has the SmackDown belt. Becky Lynch, and they were going to trade belts,
Similar to what
in the main event slot.
New Day and Street Profits did a year before.
Don't remember that at all. I'm sure it happened. I'm sure I probably.
And that's why I'm pissed off about it.
I'm sure I had big opinions about it at the time.
Oh,
Don't
yeah.
remember it at all. They were supposed to trade belts. What was supposed to happen, if you read the dirt sheets, what was supposed to happen was Charlotte was supposed to hand Becky the Raw belt, and Becky was supposed to hold him for a second because she was Becky 2 belts for a second. Or she was Becky 2 belts for a couple months.
Yeah.
Couple months. She had both the belts. Charlotte, by many accounts that you'll read, has been very vocal in her own booking for a little bit, and has been very stubborn in that she wants to look good. Now, listen, if you're listening to this podcast, you're not listening to insider guys. You can listen to podcasts with guys that have insider shit.
We ain't insider guys.
We're not insider guys.
I'm reading this shit.
Right. So I'm not a reporter here. I'm just giving my opinion.
Agreed.
Charlotte comes out and doesn't want to give Becky, by all accounts, this moment where she holds both belts.
No, I watched it.
And when Becky goes, she's supposed to hand Becky the belt. When Becky goes to grab the belt, Charlotte holds it away from her. Becky reaches for it, and Charlotte throws it on the ground. Sonya Deville, acting as the general manager or something like that.
Look, Adam Pearce is basically broke at this point. That happened on SmackDown.
Sonya Deville tells her to pick it up. Becky looks. Now, I didn't see this until after I had read what happened.
Agreed.
Charlotte picks it up, and then Sonya Deville tells Becky to give hers to Charlotte. Becky throws it at Charlotte. And then Sasha Banks comes out and says, "Oh, Charlotte, are you jealous?" Now, apparently that's not what Sasha Banks was supposed to come out and say. But Sasha Banks is pro-Becky in this. Charlotte went into business for herself, was pissed off that this was supposed to happen, and what's the word? She sandbagged the segment. She sandbagged the segment to make everybody look bad except for her.
Tuber, go ahead.
Oh, yeah. And, I mean, totally unprofessional as far as that goes. Like, based on...
Even before you get to unprofessional, though, this is amazing television.
It's great.
Hang on.
It's amazing television.
Because this was an absolute shit segment to begin with.
Yes.
And it's so funny because WWE acts like they were trapped. Like, they were stuck, and they had to trade these belts. Like, they could have put the belt on Bianca Belair, and it would have been great, and they could have just fixed this whole thing. But they're like, oh, no, we're stuck. Even though we make every decision ever, we're stuck, and this is the only thing we could do. That's bullshit. They had a way out of this, but they decided they wanted to make shitty television, and guess what? they got shitty television, but for people like us, kind of like a little more in the know, it was amazing television.
Yes, one of the best segments I've ever watched. That's really that's really how I feel about it.
Okay, this is what I read before the title exchange. Charlotte and Bianca Belair had their title match on Raw the week before. From what I read,
Charlotte went to drop the title.
Okay, so that makes sense. That totally makes sense. It takes the title exchange away from it, and it makes total sense. Charlotte is going to break Ric Flair's fucking reign of 16, 17 championships.
Not if she's in AEW, she ain't.
She ain't going to AEW, okay? This is just people just butting heads, okay?
This is a Shawn Michaels segment.
Brock Lesnar threw the belt at Vince McMahon after WrestleMania, and you still see Brock Lesnar on WWE TV to this day. I get it.
Brock's different, and he did it off camera.
Yeah, he did it off camera, not in the middle of a segment. Let's just say, listen, I know this shit happens all the time in the past, and like, oh, that's the way it used to be, and guys go into business
I don't think
for themselves.
It's that big a deal.
When's the last time we saw something like this happen with as big a star as Charlotte Flair, where somebody else was? Listen, work shoots happen a lot. This was a fucking shoot.
It reminds me of Shawn Michaels, because like Shawn Michaels had an idea of how he should be presented, and like so Austin did too, and Austin was a big enough star to where like he, they said the whole take his ball and go home, right? But Austin didn't do anything unprofessionally on camera. Like the Revival, right? They have ideas of being top guys. They were getting Ben Gayed by the Usos, and they still went out and performed it.
Okay,
right? So it's like kind of a thing where it's like you either do what you're supposed to do on TV and then you advocate for yourself outside, or you kind of grab that brass ring or whatever. But like, it seems like a lot of sour grapes, and it seems like a lot of people in the locker room are against Charlotte Flair, and everybody's kind of championing Becky for just standing up for herself.
Jason, are you saying that this could have been a work?
WWE has their own plan. I'm not saying that I know anything. Obviously, I don't. But if Charlotte wanted Bianca to win the title on Raw, which makes sense, if she's going to be stuck on that issue, being stubborn like I'm stubborn, this is going to be the result of it.
There's something to be said about somebody like Charlotte, who has obviously gone and grabbed the brass ring, right?
Thank you. That was the other thing I was going to say. She's already got the brass ring.
Yeah, I know, but this is that's a Vinceism. And
okay,
hold on a second, Vincel. So if she's gonna go out,
I will beat you where you sit. Don't you ever. And The Rock calls me ever. If
she's the type of person to go out and grab that brass ring, isn't she also the type of person to go into business for herself and just basically she threw a tantrum? That is like I said, I watched it.
It was a tantrum on live TV.
It was a tantrum on live TV that made everybody else look bad. And Sonya Deville has nothing to do with the booking. And she can be pissed off at Becky if she wants to. And listen, part of me kind of fucking respects it because it's punk rock, man. Like, if you're going to go out and do all that shit,
then do it.
But, I mean, if you're doing that...
Sonya was actually, whenever Becky reached for the belt, like, Sonya was trying to grab a hold of the situation. Yeah. She's like, no, we're not doing it. She's like, I know, like, essentially, I know you want your two belts. Like, no, we're not doing it. We're getting through this segment. We're going home.
Yeah, I mean, I watched it like at the fucking Zapruder film, man. Like, I was like rewinding shit. I was like, oh yeah, like
she dropped it back into the right, not back into the left. But
right.
Yeah.
It was not a work though. Like, I will leave less than a 1% chance that it was a work. That was a fucking shoot. And
no way. We saw some shoot shit.
When Becky walked out, Becky was pissed. And
I'm not going to blame Charlotte on this one. I refuse to blame Charlotte on this one. This is on this. Can we not agree this is on WWE? Come on. You've had months.
It is
You've
on
had
them,
months
100%.
to do this shit and do it right.
No. Yeah, but that still doesn't make
Come on, man. A title exchange is right. A title exchange is
no,
right.
It's stupid. It's a stupid segment.
So then that's not Charlotte coming up with that fucking idea. That's Vince, and that's fucking anybody else that comes up with that idea. Charlotte, okay, if you want to blame Charlotte for doing something ignorant, throwing the title to the right, I'll give you that. I'll give you that. But there is no way. We talk about this all the time. It's not the talent's fault. It's the management's fault.
But we talk about that. We talk about when people go through with the booking.
They've had enough.
We don't talk about that when people go.
They've had enough time to get with this program and figure this shit out.
I'll say this. This is the first time since we've been doing the podcast. What episode is this?
229.
This is the first time since we've been doing the podcast that we have discussed something like this. Where
there's been some shoot episodes that come down the pike.
Oh yeah, I
tell you what,
hold on. Sorry, Zach. I remember the other two shoots that we can talk about. It's the time when Charlotte almost killed Kairi Sane, and the time when Charlotte almost killed Nia Jax.
That's what I was gonna say. That's exactly what I was gonna say.
Thank you, Zach, for agreeing with me.
As usual.
No, but I mean, she has a history of putting herself over.
Okay, so Nia Jax.
At the risk of other people.
Nia Jax, I think we can all agree that Nia Jax is somebody
She's not innocent.
Okay.
That's fine. Kairi Sane?
Okay.
She almost killed her.
That's the one I'll give you the credit.
Oh,
okay.
my God.
Okay.
She slapped her in the head
we all saw that.
Because she didn't go up for a power bomb.
Okay.
She's the new Jack of the WWE
stop.
Women's Division.
If it was a scaffold match, she would have shoved her right off.
She would have. And she wouldn't care.
No.
And then Andrade would have said that she deserved it.
You motherfuckers are crazy right now.
Wild segment, though, right? Come on.
No, don't get me wrong.
Segment.
Don't get me wrong. I agree with the shit that it was weird to watch, and it was uncomfortable to watch.
I mean,
but it was still really good.
It wasn't uncomfortable for me because I knew that nobody died. I was like, I gotta watch this shit. And when I watched it, it was more shooty than I thought it was going to be. Honestly, it was insane to watch.
That's fair.
And even when Sasha and Charlotte started getting physical with each other,
I didn't care about that.
I was like, oh shit, like, is Charlotte gonna kill her?
Becky was like, motherfucker, I'm out. And that's what I was tripping off of.
And normally, like, I would be on Charlotte's side, like Jason said, like, because, like, she was put in this position, right? I would normally be advocating for Charlotte because she was put in this position. They acted like they were trapped and this was, like, how it had to be, but it didn't have to be like this.
Nope.
But at the same time, like...
When Charlotte shows her ass, that's where
I'm glad,
I feel what you guys are talking about. But
yeah, I'm glad that she did it because we were able to talk about it, but at the same time, it wasn't great, and it wasn't like it was almost like a Tessa Blanchard kind of thing. It's like it makes you you know, she won.
Moose won the championship.
Going into business for yourself is as bad as dropping the N-bomb. It's almost as bad as owning slaves.
It's like if you want a career, like you're not so big that you can't. You're not so big that you can't ruin your career outside of WWE. You're in your bubble, but like if you become a person that doesn't seem like they want to do business, like you're not going to get a 7-figure contract from a company if you have the perception that if you're not put in a position that you like, that you're not going to do business. And that's the thing. You got to do business even if you hate it. Jon Moxley did not want to be Bane. What did Jon Moxley do? He was Bane for a couple weeks. He ate shit, and then he went on to become PWI Wrestler of the Year completely, unanimously. Nobody would argue. And that was right after his worst possible performance ever because he did what he was supposed to do. So you got to do business in order to make yourself in the business, no matter what your last name is.
If you had to put odds on Charlotte being in WWE in 12 months on October 28th of 2022. What kind of odds do you give it?
90%. I mean, she's got to do some shit. This ain't enough.
I'd give it. I don't know what her contract status is, but if her contract is up in like April, I'd give it 2-to-1 odds that she ain't.
Dude, I mean, come on. What are you going to do without Charlotte? And I'm not sitting here and saying that Charlotte is the greatest women's wrestler of all time, but literally, there are 4 women that WWE revolves around, and Charlotte is one of them. I'm not sure.
That's their problem. It ain't hers.
Look, I'm not disagreeing with you on that. Okay, I've always said that WWE was way too top heavy, and that's their problem. I agree with you on that. But that's why I think Charlotte is doing this, because A, she knows what in this scenario is right. The title exchange is jacked up, and there's no reason to do it. But B, maybe more importantly for Charlotte, what you really gonna do? You gonna let me leave and go to AEW? No, they don't want to do that. They do not want to do that. That is
no, it was a power play on her. It was a power play.
For sure. And I don't necessarily disagree with it. I agree with you on the fact that the way she handled it was wrong, but she flexed a little bit, and that's okay.
That's the part I respect about it the most is that, it was a flex.
Yes. Now,
and it made for great television.
Yeah, that's the bad part about it, that she did it on SmackDown.
It was,
and it kind of looked a little wonky, but it kept my interest going.
I just really want to reiterate, it was great television. Like, it was fucking cool, man. I was so glad that it happened, and I'm glad that I read about it before I saw it, because I could watch it with a discerning eye, and I was like, are they kayfabing it? Is this a work? I was like, no, that's not a work. No. Becky was honestly surprised at what was going on, and so was
And I
Sonya
think that's
Deville.
why she left. She's like, look, the man is out. You
Who knows how it was
that.
supposed to go down?
Exactly.
Okay, I'm glad we got to talk about that. I've been looking forward to talking about that for fucking days now. That'll be it for our 3 count.
1, 2.
We are so much marks.
Okay, so NXT 2.0, Halloween Havoc. Let's just
jump to the next.
Yeah, well, let's just skip
Can we all agree that this was the best NXT 2.0 show yet? Even though it had its bad parts, it was the best episode.
It's not even close.
Yeah,
not even close. It was the best one by far.
Yeah.
And let's go with the. We can skip a bunch of stuff. Let's just talk about the title changes. So, Io Shirai and Zoe Stark, Indy Hartwell versus Persia Pirotta, lost to Toxic Attraction. Toxic Attraction, obviously, somebody's real high on Toxic
all
Attraction.
3 of these
yeah, I know,
chicks.
because Mandy Rose also ended up winning.
They are the new
NXT
undisputed
Women's
era of this 2.0.
The average viewers in their 60s. So what do you do to get viewers? You put a bunch of titles on a bunch of hot girls. I mean, that's me being cynical, but it's also accurate.
No, it's very accurate.
This match was very scary. I did not like it.
No, I agree with totally. Io Shirai took a couple of nasty bumps. It's in this scenario, I wish it had been some women that had more experience, not even necessarily ladder match experience, just more experience. Io Shirai was basically leading this brigade of women. Zoe Stark, God bless her, she was on one leg. She tried a 450 at one point and buckled on the way down. That's when, if there was a dislocated shoulder for anybody, that should have been a dislocated shoulder, because when she hit the mat, I was like, oh.
R.I.P. Ibushi.
Let's say, no, he's coming back for Wrestle Kingdom. It was, at the end of the day, I agree with Zach. I'm glad everybody walked out of that match okay, but it was a precursor of a lot of things to come.
There were 2 big ladder matches in WWE this week. There was this match, and then there was the 4-way between Seth Rollins, KO, Mysterio, and Finn Balor. And it just shows you what experience has to do with the ladder match because,
matches.
like Zach said, that match on NXT was scary, and the match on Raw was professional. Like, there were huge bumps, but there were guys. I mean,
felt okay.
Kevin Owens is a ladder match.
God bless him.
I mean, but the guy has a 15-year history of doing ladder matches. No, but really, he knows how to take a bump.
God bless.
But those are for the pros of the pros of the pros. You know, those are pro guys, and these six.
Rey Mysterio took a little couple bumps too.
And that bump that Io Shirai took, that really nasty one, was not her fault. But anyway,
it was just bad. It's just okay.
It just didn't need to happen. Okay, so Imperium takes the belts off of MSK in a lumberjack match. I enjoyed the fuck out of this match, but I enjoy the fuck out of every MSK match. What'd you think, Jason?
Dude, I gotta say real quick, like, you're gonna have, like, what's his name? I don't know if it was Zach Wentz, like, doing the cutter off, and nobody catches him. Like, there's 12 guys, and he just lands in the middle of them. Like, you have lumberjacks. At least have some lumberjacks that are willing to catch a dude.
That's the one. That's the one. I was surprised that Imperium won number one.
Me too.
Okay. MSK felt like the poster child for NXT 2.0. Whether, you know, the fans were booing or not, whether you agree why the fans are booing MSK or not, I don't give a fuck.
That's some bullshit, by the way. Like, they have like a 200-person crowd, and it's like the same crowd every single week. And like, Superfan Izzy's parents are trying to get MSK booed because Zach Wentz said that their 13-year-old daughter shouldn't have taken a choke slam, which she should, on an indie show, which she should not have. But he tweets one tweet, and they sabotage an entire WWE production.
Yeah, it's almost like a meme. Like, it's a meme amongst the NXT crowd. That is not what's his name? Wentz?
Zachary Wentz.
Wentz. It's not his
Nash
fault.
Carter is his name on now NXT 2.0, but neither here nor there.
But Zach is right. Like, they're trying to hijack the crowd, and they're doing a pretty good job, and it is only 200 people.
And they totally hijacked the crowd to the point we've talked about. It's like, you know, why is, you know, MSK getting booed on NXT television as baby faces? And even still, that bump aside, the match itself was good. I don't agree with this title change without Walter being involved. That, to me, is the whole center of Imperium. I like Imperium as the tag team.
Yeah, but they mentioned Walter in the promo before.
Exactly. So now this is where I'm kind of waiting for the big guy to come in, center it up, be the center point.
Take the belt off of Ciampa and have Braun Breaker beat him.
Okay.
Like, where the fuck? That's crazy to me, too, because, like, where does Walter fit in NXT 2.0? He absolutely
at the top.
doesn't.
No,
well, yeah, at the top, but, like, if you want to have him at the top, but that's the only place for him to fit. Like, that dude is the opposite of green. His gimmick is he's the ring general. He's just an absolute monster. Like, he does not. He's a
match of the year perennial contender.
So
perennial winner.
We've all played video games at this point. The final boss has to be somebody that is so intimidating, so overwhelming,
like
when
Dr.
you
Wily.
see him. That's like, okay, what the fuck? What am I going to do? Walter is that final boss to me. Ciampa winning, and we're going to talk about that in 30 seconds, I'm sure. Ciampa winning is good. For the fact that I like Ciampa. I don't necessarily agree with the booking, but I like Ciampa.
I'll tell you what I thought about Ciampa beating Braun Breaker is that shows me that WWE is even more serious about Braun Breaker than even if he would have won, because he looks so strong in defeat that
yep, me too.
It's like they're going to let this guy cook for a little bit, you know? And that to me is cool, you know?
Yeah,
and Ciampa's actually given him a ton of time because they had a good match.
They did have a good match.
He took most of the match. If you think back, like, remember when he had the Die Rocky Die chants? Can you imagine all those people screaming Die Rocky Die, and you're screaming that at arguably the most, like, prolific talent in American wrestling history? and you're screaming "Die Rocky Die" just because he took the Intercontinental title too soon. You know, oh, it was too soon for you. So they are letting it cook. They want you to want Braun Breaker to take the title.
Right.
They don't want to make the decision for you. They actually have their finger on the pulse here, and I will give them credit. Like, I'm not a guy that gives WWE a lot of credit, but I give them credit here because they want you to want it. They don't want to force it down your throat, and it's a good move.
All right, so 2 more main event questions for you. SmackDown was pretty good. Roman Reigns, Brock is suspended now. Both the things are from, well, one of them's from Raw, one of them's from post WWE. Seth Rollins is now the number 1 contender against Big E. Is there a chance, or what are the chances that Seth Rollins takes the belt from Big E so they can have Rollins versus Reigns at Survivor Series? Zach?
I hadn't thought about that much. I was just kind of surprised. I knew that, of course, with the switch that they were going to have Rollins be the contender for Big E. I just didn't think it would happen so soon. So I hadn't really considered the fact that it would be that. I would like to think no. I would like to think, just like with the Braun Breaker thing, that they would let this cook because Big E is doing a good job. And he's stepping up to the plate. So I would like to say no. At the end of the day, I mean, nothing's out of the realm of possibility, but I would like to say no.
Jason?
Piggybacking off of Two Beer, percentage 1, because it's wrestling, weird shit happens.
You think there's only a 1% chance that Rollins takes
Seth
the belt
Rollins
from
and Big E have done this before in NXT before this reboot,
No, I know, but they always hot shot the belt on
Okay.
somebody right before Survivor Series.
Okay. Here's my point. You can do Rollins and Reigns anytime you want to. They have a Shield
Because
connection.
you got the Usos
Right.
and the Shield, or
Okay.
Usos and the New Day is a perfect connection.
There's no reason in the world for me to, and I'm assuming that they're going to do Seth Rollins versus Big E before Survivor Series. That's the reason why we're even having this conversation. I think it'll be a great match. It makes sense. They connect the dots. That's really all I ask for more times than not. Big E versus Roman Reigns is the next match for WWE. And I've said it. I'm not going to back off of it. That makes sense. They've crossed paths. And they did the Usos versus.
This makes me want to double down on Seth Rollins.
Double down on it. Double down on it. Okay? I feel what you're saying. Seth Rollins is one of the top 20 guys in the world. I'll go 20 because I think I might be able to throw out 10 guys before Seth Rollins.
I think 20's fair.
Fair. Very fair.
Yep, I'd agree.
I think he's top 20 in the world.
Yeah, I think he's the best on Raw.
Okay, if AJ's still on Raw?
Except for KO. Oh, I think that Seth Rollins is better than AJ.
Ooh.
I mean, now he's younger.
He's a better promo.
He's a way better promo. He's also a better heel.
We're just talking in ring.
I'll take Seth. I'll take Seth Rollins.
Right now,
I would take AJ in ring, but I'd take Seth Rollins as a total package.
As a total package, I'll give you Seth Rollins.
I mean,
Seth
at their ages
Seth
right
is
now,
going to get there. He's the next.
Seth is AJ's age when AJ came into WWE.
No, he is
He's a little younger.
He's HBK.
Who is?
Seth Rollins. He's HBK.
What does that mean? That means he's going to be at his peak when he's 44? That's what you're saying?
Yeah.
He's
really
going
good.
to take a $3 million.
He's really good.
He's going to take a $3 million payout in Saudi Arabia in 10 years.
Hope he doesn't take a bounce off his head like HBK did.
Dude,
but
Seth Rollins,
they are the same.
I mean,
guy.
you talk about a guy that's clicking on all cylinders. It's Seth Rollins. He had a great feud with Edge. A great feud with Edge.
Yeah.
And
And
then
last year he was in the doldrums with that fucking bullshit
And
gimmick.
you getting ready to steal
the
my
Monday
thunder.
Night Messiah. He's doing
Seth
good work
Rollins
now.
was one of the guys that I was worried about when we got crowds back into play with WWE. Seth Rollins has not missed a beat. He's been the heel of heels. He's got the Edge feud is one of my favorite feuds of the 2021 year.
Yep.
And now
Dude,
you're going
Crown
to put
Jewel
him.
low key ruled. Like, that was
Yeah.
Dude, don't
did
say
you guys
that.
talk about it last week?
Good show.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
We did talk about it.
I
Yeah,
couldn't remember if it was the
low-key
day. Yeah, it was.
It was literally the day of.
It was pretty good.
I thought it was, all bullshit aside, I thought it was pretty good. It wasn't like a pay-per-view. It was another glorified.
Listen, when you say all
house show.
bullshit aside, does that mean usually there's some bullshit included?
You gotta pick it. You gotta look for it. You
All
know
right,
what I'm
there's
saying?
one more thing. One more thing I want to talk about, and then we can get out of here. Wyndham Rotunda, formerly known as Bray Wyatt, aka the Fiend, tweeted today. Did you see his tweet today?
I didn't see the tweet today.
It said 2 days.
So basically,
Or no, it was yesterday. It was Wednesday.
Yeah,
2
okay,
days.
I did see that. So basically, waking up tomorrow, he's a free agent.
Or it means he's showing up on Rampage or SmackDown.
He's not. What? Come on now. Why is he going back to WWE?
I don't know. They re-signed Samoa Joe, didn't they? They re-signed Zelina Vega.
Stop.
I don't know, $11 million.
Let me be the quarterback for 30 seconds. Two Beer, where does Bray Wyatt go? Wait, when you wake up tomorrow, and you have the pin.
Or you can say nowhere. You can also say nowhere.
Yeah, whatever. Where does
It'd be
Bray
weird
Wyatt?
if he was nowhere though.
No, he's not going anywhere. Where does Bray Wyatt go when you wake up tomorrow, and you look at Twitter or Facebook? Where is he going?
This is not me being like a promotional mark, but the Dark Order needs some direction, and Adam Page is not going to be that guy because he's got his own shit going on. So I could absolutely see him filling John Huber's, and I think he would be thrilled to do so to fill those
How did
shoes.
I never fucking think of that? That never even crossed my fucking mind. And
No,
like when
that-
Zach said it, it's like,
It makes sense.
oh shit, that's
Yeah,
so
it
fucking
totally
obvious.
makes sense. Impact for me was my first choice. AEW
That was
to
my
me,
first.
AEW is my second choice.
Man, you saw my thunder. I thought I was gonna hit you guys over the head. I was gonna be like, he should go to Impact. He should take over fucking Impact. He should be the man on Impact.
Yes.
And they could let him do all of his
we
fucking
want-
weird
yes.
shit because they
It
did all the
makes-
Matt Hardy shit. You
yes, it makes total
know,
fucking
just
sense.
just go to Impact and
own it. And you can go anywhere you want
It
to.
would be his promotion. It really would
You
be.
can go to AEW, and that's the only bad part about it. But outside of that, I would have no problem. That would be if
So
I
what
had
would you prefer? You would prefer Impact over
Yes.
him taking over the Dark Order?
Yes. AEW
Zach?
is too saturated at this point. Okay? The Dark Order is not that important anymore. They're important
I
because
can't believe
we
they're
put
still
them
around.
into that.
I can't believe they're still around.
No, we put them. They're important because
They've
we
been
put
around
them
since the
into
beginning.
positions.
It
One.
might be like the Dark Order lasts for like 40 years and just never wins any belts.
No, they're going to win.
That's how it feels.
No, they're going to win. They're going to win. The
Zach,
tag
if
team
you had to
titles.
choose, so those two very good situations that the guys at BFR, us three, have laid out, which one sounds more enticing to you? Him being on AEW in the Dark Order or him owning Impact?
I think that he would have more of an impact on Impact, but selfishly, I want him on AEW also because I think it would fit the role really well because of the passing of the torch, right? And especially with like -1, that he's close to all those people. But it also keeps me from having to watch an extra 2 hours of wrestling every single week.
I got you.
I was just gonna say, like, I hope he goes to Impact because I don't really like him and I don't watch Impact.
You ain't shit.
He peaked when he had that promo right before Raw 31 where he said, or WrestleMania 31 where he said, You look up to me, you'll see a friend. You look down at me, you'll see an enemy. You look me in the eyes, and you'll see a god. And I was like, holy shit. Oh, my
okay.
God.
Thank you.
Promo of the century. Hold on.
This is banned from Ringside.
Got some birthdays this week.
Whose birthdays is it?
Bobby Fish, 42. MVP, Montel Vontavious Porter.
Yes.
It's 48.
Hurry back to WWE. God damn it.
He's a stud. Rocky Romero, 39.
Shut the fuck up. He's 39 years old.
He's a stud, man. He's like office guy.
He's 39 years old.
Yeah.
He's 39 years old. So
He's like
house.
NJPW's liaison between America.
I was leaving the house and him and Trey Miguel were having a match on Impact tonight. Jesus Christ.
Dude, he's
so
the
old.
guy that like everybody loves. Like if you watch like Talk Yourself a Mania, like he's like does commentary on there, like, and it's so like
Well, I listened to
absolutely insightful that he is just that guy that everybody talks to, right? He's the liaison. Like you talk about Forbidden Door, he was the Forbidden Door
Or before there was a Forbidden Door.
I listen to Anderson and Gallows podcast every once in a while, Talking Shop, and it's always just like 30 minutes, and you can tell it's at like 12:30 at night, and there's just a bunch of wrestlers hanging out in a room, like they are.
Oh yeah, and they're all just drinking $5 wine.
Yeah,
just getting banged up.
they're all drunk, and it's like 30 minutes. They're like, and Gallows is always like, I think we should drop this one off, brother. I think we should let's just kill this pod, brother. It's so funny,
dude. It's
but
awesome.
Rocky Romero's always
insider
on
talk.
that. He's always on that podcast.
God bless Rocky. God
Honestly,
damn.
like I don't want to plug other podcasts, but like it is so fun.
Yeah,
because
it's fun.
It's just a bunch of dudes getting drunk, and like they talk like real industry talk because they're in it, right? Like, and it's almost indecipherable, like the way that they talk. You almost have to like kind of figure it out, like
Listen,
what the hell they're even saying.
If you got 3 hours a week to listen to wrestling podcasts,
Take 2 for us.
2.5 for us, and a half hour for Talking Shop.
That's my dog.
That's all you need. Paul Orndorff,
R.I.P.
72.
Hall of Famer.
Would have
Hall of
been-
Famer.
would have been 72. Edge,
Not R.I.P.
R.I.P.
Famer.
Hall of Famer.
Definitely Hall of Famer.
48. He's dead, right?
Yeah.
I'll tell you what.
Seth Rollins wishes he was dead.
This guy's dead, but this guy, he'll live forever. Bobby Heenan would have been 77
Oh
this
my
week.
God. The greatest to ever do it. Greatest
Yep.
announcer, greatest manager.
Yeah,
I will live and die. I would get a Bobby Heenan tattoo. You want to Venmo me? I'll get a Bobby Heenan tattoo.
Whoa, easy, big fella. I'll say somebody might do that shit. I'll just say Bobby Heenan is one of the greatest managers, if not the greatest manager of all time.
Be funny to have a BFR shirt with Bobby Heenan's face on the back, and it said "Brought to you by," and on the bottom it said Venmo.
Yeah. I'll get the tattoo of a weasel right on my ass. Like, please Venmo me.
Do you guys
Don't do that.
You guys remember Cameron?
The
Right?
black chick that was opposite of Naomi.
I mean, I wouldn't describe her as a black chick first and foremost. I mean,
Hang on, I'm getting my booty shaking.
don't really see color. Charmel. Charmel was a very
Queen?
good-looking white woman, I think.
No,
Charmel.
no, that's
No,
black too. Oh,
she
shit.
wasn't? Ooh, I couldn't tell.
I'm getting my booty on
She
over here.
seems like she has very mocha-colored skin based on her name.
49. Speaking of mocha color skin, Darren Young,
I'm dead.
the first openly gay WWEer. He's 38.
Dude, I'm dead.
R.I.P.
What the fuck is
You mean JBL didn't kill him?
No. Eli Drake, a.k.a. LA Knight, 39. I should have saved Heenan.
Where he at? Like seriously, like where he at? Do you need GPS? That motherfucker.
This one?
I should-
Jesus Christ.
I should have saved Heenan for last because this last one's just a real fucking fart in the wind.
This motherfucker is
Actually, you know what? I'm going to sell it. I'm going to say this is not a fart in the wind.
okay.
This last guy is the greatest white wrestler to wrestle with dreadlocks
Oh Jesus
in
Christ.
the best of 7 series with Chris Masters of all time. That's right. I'm talking about Tyler Rex. He's 43.
I don't even remember.
He was on WWE Main Event. Him and Chris Masters had the best of 7 series, and Chris Masters won 7 times. It was fucking incredible.
And that's how we're going to send this bitch off.
Hey, everybody. We know there's tons of podcasts to listen to, so we appreciate you guys listening to our podcast.
On that note, yes.
For my wife.
Yes.
For my baby, Edna May, Edna
Check,
Guerrero.
Baby.
For Zach, for all his kids.
Happy birthday, Debbie.
Happy birthday, Debbie Tapin, my
Shaq.
mother-in-law. For Lucha Chris. For Danny O. What's his name?
Patriot
For
Pat,
the Sideways in
Christ's sake.
Time. For
Jesus.
Vice. For Jason
Jack.
Cornelius Belda. I say for
Konnichiwa.
2 Beer and all of his beautiful kids. Go ahead, say.
Konnichiwa, bitches.
And Boo the Heels.
Boo.
Oh, Black Lives Matter. All that shit, too.